imagine an internet fandom just absolutely losing its collective mind.
Oh yeah, we are talking millions of views.
Right, like endless multi-page essays on Reddit, a ceaseless stream of late-night TikTok edits.
All over a television romance where the two characters, barely even touch.
Exactly. It completely defies the standard recipe for TV love stories.
It really does. I mean, usually you expect the meet cute.
Yeah, the funny misunderstanding and then, like, the big dramatic rain-soaked kiss.
But today, we are pulling from a massive stack of articles, psychological analyses, and director's notes surrounding the Spanish drama Sueños de Libertad.
Yeah, we're looking at an emotional landscape that is entirely different.
Completely different.
We're taking a deep dive into the phenomenon known as MAFINA.
Right, the portmanteau for the characters Marta and Fina.
Yes. And our mission today, for you listening, is to dissect the mechanics of this relationship.
We really want to get into the details of it.
Yeah, to understand how a story built almost entirely on a severe restraint and agonizing silence became one of the most devastating, beloved, and viral romances online.
It's such a fascinating case study because it forces us to look at how television can manipulate tension.
Right.
We aren't looking at sweeping theatrical declarations of love here.
No, not at all.
We are analyzing a narrative constructed out of what the characters are desperately trying not to do.
Oh, I love how you phrased that.
Yeah, it's an exercise in the visual and psychological language of longing.
Exactly. It's the kind of heartbreak that genuinely haunts you as a viewer.
It really sits with you.
It's cinematic and deeply melancholic, but, to understand why audiences can't look away, we have to understand the foundational architecture of their dynamic.
Which is incredibly complex.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because you don't get this level of viral obsession without a highly specific, highly volatile psychological pairing.
No, you definitely don't.
So what is actually happening beneath the surface between these two women?
Well, looking at the thematic notes provided, it all comes down to the friction.
The friction.
Yeah, the friction between profound emotional repression and radical vulnerability.
Right. So on one side, you have Marta.
Exactly. The sources detail her as a woman who is meticulously composed.
Heavily guarded, too.
Very much so. She is carrying this immense societal and familial burden.
She basically survives by compartmentalizing her reality.
Right. And then you have Fina, who operates as the absolute antithesis to that control.
She really does.
She brings warmth, honesty, and this raw, unfiltered vulnerability straight into Marta's highly curated world.
Reading through these character breakdowns, it almost makes me think of the architecture of a house.
Oh, how so?
Well, Marta is like these industrial, rigid, load-bearing walls.
Okay, yeah.
She's holding up immense weight and expectations. She's locked down tightly just to keep the structure from falling.
Right, she has to be strong.
Exactly. And Fina is like the sudden sunlight streaming through the windows.
I love that analogy.
Because without the walls, the structure collapses, right?
Totally.
But without the light, it's just a cold, dark room. Fina isn't just a passive observer, she's the catalyst.
What's fascinating here is how this specific dynamic immediately hooked audiences.
Yeah, it really grabbed people.
It creates this intense mix of tension, tenderness, and ultimate emotional dependency.
And it perfectly encapsulates those broader themes of emotional repression colliding with raw vulnerability.
The show's creators actually reinforce that concept visually, too.
Oh, right, the camera work.
Yeah, if you look at the director's notes in our stack, they frequently frame Marta and Fina in confined, tight spaces.
Like small offices and narrow hallways.
Exactly. Stock rooms.
Yeah.
The camera work is deliberately claustrophobic.
They use a lot of shallow depth of field, right?
Yes, which means the background is completely blurred out.
So it forces your eye exclusively onto their subtle facial expressions.
The visual language mirrors the psychological reality. The rest of the world just fades away.
And all that's left is this highly pressurized, hyper-focused interaction.
Which is why the viewer feels so stressed watching them.
It is stressful. You are watching a psychological concept play out in real time.
It's like cognitive dissonance on screen.
Exactly. Marta is trying to hold on to her public lie, her societal conformity.
While simultaneously being exposed to this undeniable private truth that Fina represents.
And when those two realities violently collide, the chemistry isn't just romantic.
No, it's explosive.
It really is.
The tension is born from the danger of the connection.
Because for Marta, lowering her defenses isn't just about falling in love.
It is an existential threat to the life she has built.
Right. And for Fina, being the one to dismantle those defenses requires a level of patience that is just exhausting.
They become entirely structurally dependent on one another.
In a vacuum that society refuses to accommodate.
But that exact psychological dependency is a massive liability.
Oh, completely. When your entire emotional stability rests on one person.
And you're operating in an environment that actively hunts you.
Yeah, a collapse isn't just possible, it is an absolute inevitability.
You can't keep that kind of pressure contained forever. It either blows or you have to shut it down.
Which brings us directly to the devastating rupture of their relationship, the separation arc.
Yes. The separation arc is where the narrative shifts from a tense romance into a deeply grounded tragedy.
Because Fina makes the agonizing decision to leave Marta.
And the most crucial piece of data we have from the source material is the mechanism behind this choice.
Right. Why she actually leaves.
Fina does not leave because the love has faded.
Not at all.
She leaves because of sheer, profound emotional exhaustion.
They are essentially burning each other out.
Completely. Living in a state of constant cognitive dissonance takes a physiological toll.
It's exhausting.
They are overwhelmed by the relentless secrecy, the crushing weight of their environment.
And just the impossibility of sustaining their connection in the shadows.
So Fina's departure is framed as an act of survival. This raises an important question about the classic tragic trope of loving someone at the right time, but in the wrong circumstances.
Yeah, but wait. I'm looking at these notes about her motivations, and I have to challenge this noble sacrifice narrative.
Oh, how so?
Well, a lot of the articles lean into that, but if I put myself in Fina's shoes,
Right.
handing over all my emotional stability to someone as heavily guarded and conflicted as Marta would be terrifying.
It definitely would be.
So I'm wondering, is she truly just running from the external societal pressure?
You think it's more internal?
I do. On a much deeper level, is she bailing because the sheer vulnerability of needing someone that much became too scary?
That is a fascinating read.
Right. When someone holds the power to completely destroy you, running away often looks a lot like self-preservation.
That internal threat is a massive factor, and it's what makes the writing so nuanced.
The external world is hostile, yes.
But the internal landscape is a minefield. Fina's baseline requires honesty and open affection.
But loving someone who is constantly at war with herself.
It means Fina is continually risking being collateral damage.
Every time Marta recoils out of fear, it inflicts a micro-trauma on Fina.
So setting that boundary and walking away is an act of self-preservation.
Not just against society.
Right, but against the emotional whiplash of Marta's repression.
So she pulls the ripcord to save herself.
But the cruel irony is that by saving herself, she completely detonates the system she leaves behind.
We really have to look at the agonizing space created by Fina's absence.
Because that is where the true weight of this storyline lands.
The sources focus heavily on Marta's reaction to the separation.
Which is nothing short of a complete internal collapse.
And what is remarkable from a production standpoint is how they chose to depict that collapse.
Right. In standard television, a breakup is usually followed by dramatic crying scenes.
Broken glass, throwing things, long monologues to a best friend.
But here, the directors lean entirely into negative space.
They isolate Marta in the frame.
The camera lingers for an uncomfortably long time on her after Fina leaves the room.
The story is told through the aching physical distance.
In an extreme emotional restraint that makes the silence feel incredibly heavy.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh.
Reading the descriptions of Marta's behavior in these specific episodes, it almost sounds like a psychological version of phantom limb syndrome.
Oh, wow. Phantom limb syndrome.
Yeah. Have you come across that in the broader psychological literature?
The way amputees still feel a missing arm?
Exactly. They feel it itching. They feel it aching, even though it's physically gone.
That is a brilliant comparison.
Because it feels like the writers are mapping that exact neurological response onto emotional heartbreak.
The clinical parallels are actually striking.
Right.
When you are deeply emotionally attached to someone, your brain physically wires them into your daily expectations.
They regulate your nervous system.
So when that person is suddenly removed, you experience actual physiological withdrawal.
Wow, yeah.
The brain is still sending out signals, expecting a response that never comes.
The show captures this emotional phantom limb so well.
You see Marta instinctively turning to share a thought with a shadow.
Or just the subtle tightening of her jaw when she enters a room and realizes Fina isn't there.
It's the visual representation of unfinished love.
And because the actors are so phenomenally grounded in this reality, the unspoken yearning practically becomes a third character in the room.
You can literally feel the tether between them stretching across the screen.
But what fascinates me is that this tether didn't just stay inside the world of the show.
No, it definitely did not.
It whipped right through the screen and wrapped around the audience. We have to talk about the viral nature of this heartbreak.
The online response is a phenomenon in its own right.
It is wild.
The fan analyses we reviewed show that this specific dynamic, the restrained, unfulfilled longing, triggered a massive wave of user-generated content.
Particularly on platforms like TikTok and YouTube.
Millions of views on videos that are fundamentally just two women looking at each other sadly.
Yeah, while some lo-fi indie pop song plays in the background.
But when you dig into how these edits are made, it reveals so much.
It shows what the audience is really reacting to.
The fan editors are acting like secondary directors.
They take the footage, slow it down to 50% speed,
and zoom in specifically on the micro-expressions.
They force the viewer to sit in the exact moment a heart breaks.
Isolating the swallowing of pride.
The trembling of a hand.
The eye contact that holds for just 1 second too long.
By slowing down the footage, the fans are highlighting the unspoken subtext.
The things the characters are forbidden from vocalizing.
In a media landscape that is increasingly loud and explicit.
There is something deeply hypnotic about a narrative built on what cannot be said.
The fans aren't just consuming the media, they are forensic analysts.
Dissecting the psychological tension frame by frame.
Which begs a really introspective question, and I want you listening right now to think about this.
Yeah, why do you consume this kind of pain?
Why do we find ourselves sitting in the dark at 2 a.m. watching edits that we know are going to devastate us?
Are we scouring these fan spaces because we are desperately seeking some crumb of hope?
Some breadcrumb that things will work out.
Or is there a darker, more cathartic truth?
Do we actually revel in the beautiful tragedy of it all?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, human beings have always used tragic art for emotional regulation.
Right, Aristotle's theory of catharsis.
Exactly. In our daily modern lives, we are often required to be like Marta.
We have to be composed, professional.
Holding up our own load-bearing walls, we rarely get to completely fall apart.
So watching Marta's walls crumble under the weight of an undeniable love.
It allows the audience to safely experience the terror and the beauty of total vulnerability.
We get to feel the agony of the phantom limb without having to actually undergo the amputation in our own lives.
That is a phenomenal way to put it.
We get to outsource our need to fall apart.
But, as with all great serialized dramas, the tension of the separation arc eventually demands release.
The void cannot last forever.
And it leads us to the inevitable reunion.
Fina returns, the moment the entire fandom was holding its collective breath for.
But even their reunion refuses to follow the standard easy formula.
Because the underlying mechanics of their world haven't changed at all.
The reunion forces both the audience and the characters to confront a harsh reality.
Does coming back together offer true, sustainable healing?
Or are they simply resetting the clock on an inevitable, tragic cycle?
Because the societal expectations, the danger of exposure,
the need for crushing secrecy.
None of those external pressures evaporated just because they missed each other.
The high-pressure valve is still connected to the exact same volatile system.
When Fina comes back, it is this moment of immense, staggering relief.
You watch them fall back into each other's orbits.
And the tension drops for a split second.
But right underneath that relief is a terrifying layer of dread.
You look at them and think, oh no, they're going to get hurt all over again.
The hope and the heartbreak aren't sequential.
They are happening simultaneously.
Which is the ultimate hallmark of emotional realism.
The show refuses to insult the intelligence of its audience with a magic wand that fixes their reality.
The reunion is deeply romantic, yes.
But it's heavily laced with danger.
Loving each other inherently jeopardizes their safety.
And yet the narrative argues that the connection is worth the risk.
Their bond isn't beautiful in spite of the circumstances.
It is beautiful because it was forged in those impossible circumstances.
It requires an immense amount of courage for Marta to lower her defenses again.
And just as much courage for Fina to walk back into the line of fire.
Taking a step back and synthesizing everything we've looked at today, The MAFIN storyline is a masterclass.
It completely transcends the standard television romance.
It doesn't rely on grand gestures or manufactured plot twists.
Instead, it offers a profound, granular exploration of emotional restraint.
The psychological toll of cognitive dissonance.
And the agonizing beauty of a love that simply refuses to remain quiet, even when forced into the shadows.
It proves that sometimes the most powerful storytelling happens entirely in the silence
In the negative space,
and in the terrifying decision to let someone else see you fall apart.
it challenges the viewer to recognize that true intimacy is often uncomfortable.
It's dangerous, and it requires a profound leap of faith.
The fan response isn't just about shipping two characters.
It's a testament to how universally we all crave to be seen that clearly, even if it hurts.
So what does this all mean?
Well, it means that as audiences, we are starved for media that respects the messy reality of human connection.
We want the ache just as much as we want the resolution.
We really do.
But I want to leave you with a final thought, something to really chew on that wasn't explicitly analyzed in our sources today.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
We've spent this entire deep dive exploring how the gravitational pull of Marta and Fina, both for themselves and for the fans watching, is fueled by the intense friction of their circumstances.
The secrecy, the societal danger, the repression.
Exactly. The pressure cooking inside that valve.
Right.
So imagine for a second that the pressure just vanished.
It's completely gone.
Yeah. What if they were suddenly plucked out of that hostile environment and dropped into a completely accepting, mundane, modern reality?
Oh, wow.
Without the constant, desperate need to protect themselves from the world, would their intense emotional dependency actually survive?
Survive the boring, everyday reality of, like, doing laundry and paying bills.
Exactly. Or does a love that burns this incredibly bright actually require the tragedy?
Does it need the friction and the impossibility just to keep the fire going?
That is the question.
That completely flips the romantic narrative on its head. Are they soulmates, or are they trauma bonded by the era they live in?
It really makes you wonder if we are addicted to the romance or if we are just addicted to the fight.
That's a haunting thought.
Like we said at the very beginning, a clear map is comfortable and a straight line is easy.
But maybe it's only in the murky, devastating waters that we find the kinds of stories we never want to let go of.